All right, if you're gearing up for your international relations exams, you know there are some theories you absolutely have to nail. Today, we're tackling one of the heavy hitters, liberalism. You know, the one that's optimistic enough to say, hey, maybe things can actually get better.
So what's the big deal with liberalism? Well, to really get it, you've got to put it head-to-head with its main rival, realism. Realists, they're pretty gloomy. They see the world as this endless, brutal cycle of power politics. But liberalism, it flips that script. It's built on this core belief in progress. The idea that history isn't just stuck on repeat, but that we can actually be on an upward path, towards more peace and more freedom.
Okay, so to make sure you've got this locked down for your exams, here's our game plan. We're going to break it all down, its unique worldview, the three main pillars holding it up, where these ideas even came from, the 6 modern versions you see today, its core assumptions, and finally, how it's changing in the world right now.
All right, first up, that worldview. What's it all about? Well, deep down, it's about believing that the way things are isn't the way they have to be. Our institutions, governments, laws, even things like the UN, they're not permanent fixtures. We can change them. It's a total rejection of that cynical, things will never get better attitude.
And here's a key term you'll definitely want to drop in your essays: meliorist. It sounds fancy, but it just comes from the Latin for better. All it means that liberals believe we can actively, consciously make the world a better place. It's this faith in human reason, the idea that if we work together, we can actually fix the broken parts of our societies, not just at home, but on the global stage.
But, and this is a huge point, don't mix this up with naive idealism. Liberals aren't dreaming of some perfect utopia. That's why their idea of progress isn't teleological, another great term for your notes. It doesn't mean we're all marching towards some guaranteed perfect finish line. Nope. For liberals, progress is messy, it's slow, it's tough, and sometimes, we even go backwards. It's all about the journey of striving to get better, not about some magical destination.
Okay, so that's the worldview. Now let's get into the structure. What holds this whole theory up? It really comes down to 3 core pillars. Get these, and you've got the logical heart of liberalism. And these 3 aren't separate ideas. They're totally linked. It's like a domino effect. Think of modernization as the engine, right? That engine is what drives everything forward. It makes cooperation between countries not just possible, but more likely. And that cooperation, that's the vehicle that delivers the progress we're all hoping for. More peace, more justice, more freedom. So when we say modernization, what are we actually talking about? It's not just one thing. It's this powerful cocktail of 5 different trends all happening at once. You've got the spread of democracy, you've got our economies becoming more and more interdependent, then there's cognitive progress, we're literally learning better ways to solve problems. Add in deeper social connections across borders, and the growth of big international institutions. All of these things reinforce each other, pushing us toward more cooperation. Okay, so where did all this come from? These ideas didn't just pop out of nowhere. There's a deep history here, stretching back over 300 years, with thinkers building on each other's work generation after generation. And you can really see the story of liberalism unfold here. Way back, you had guys like Locke and Rousseau. They were all about creating free societies at home, but pretty doubtful about getting countries to play nice with each other. Then, a little later, you get this huge burst of optimism from people like Kant and Adam Smith. Their big idea? The spirit of commerce. Basically, that free trade would make war obsolete. But then, World War I happened, and that was a brutal reality check. It led thinkers like Woodrow Wilson to a huge realization. Trade isn't enough. You need powerful international organizations to actually prevent another catastrophe. Okay, that brings us to today. With all that history as a backdrop, let's dive into the 6 modern versions of liberal theory. And for your exams, this is absolutely critical. Think of these as 6 different toolkits that liberals use to understand what's happening in the world.
Seriously, this table right here, this is your cheat sheet for the exam. Let's run through them. First, Republican liberalism, which is the famous democratic peace theory. Then commercial liberalism. Our tangled global economy makes war just way too costly. Next, military liberalism, which basically argues that nuclear weapons have made all-out war completely irrational. Then there's cognitive liberalism, all about the power of shared ideas to solve big problems. Sociological liberalism looks at people-to-people connections, creating a we feeling across borders. And last, institutional liberalism, which focuses on how bodies like the UN create rules that build trust and make cooperation way easier.
And this theory isn't static, it's alive. A lot of people would say a 7th strand is emerging right now: ecological liberalism. I mean, think about it. A global threat like climate change, doesn't care about borders. It creates this intense, shared interdependence that basically forces countries to work together, whether they like it or not. All right, let's get down to the bedrock. What are the core assumptions baked into the DNA of liberalism? This is where you see the starkest difference between a liberal and a realist.
So, first question, who are the main players on the world stage? For liberals, who really counts?
And this is a game changer. For liberals, everything starts with individuals and the groups they create. So that means liberals look inside the state. You know how realists see states as these solid billiard balls bouncing off each other? Liberals smash that open. They see the state as a messy space, where all sorts of groups, corporations, activists, you name it, are all fighting it out to influence what the country does in the world.
Okay, so if that's who the actors are, then what decides what happens? Why do we sometimes get war and other times get cooperation?
This gets to the absolute core of the liberal view of history. Look, liberals aren't naive. They know power politics and coercion are real. But they argue that as that engine of modernization keeps running, the scales start to tip. The old school logic of pure conflict starts to get weaker, and the new logic of cooperation and shared interests gets stronger and stronger.
So let's wrap this up. Where does this leave liberals today? I mean, let's be honest, the 20th century was brutal. 2 world wars, the Cold War. It wasn't exactly a smooth ride for the optimists.
And you can see how the theory had to adapt. That early, almost certain belief in progress, it's been replaced by a more cautious belief in its possibility. The idea now is that progress isn't some guarantee. It's something fragile that has to be built, brick by brick, through good policy, strong institutions, and just plain hard work.
And this quote from Stanley Hoffman just nails the modern liberal mindset. Look at those words: limited, reversible, and perfectibility, not perfection. That's it in a nutshell. It's a kind of tough-minded optimism. It's the belief that we can make things better, but with a clear-eyed understanding that it's going to be hard and that we might even slip backwards sometimes.
And that really leaves us with a big question for our time, doesn't it? Modernization is happening faster than ever. Will all of this prove the liberals right, pushing us toward a more cooperative future? Or will new challenges, like rising nationalism or renewed great power rivalries, end up proving the realists were right all along? That's the debate we're living through, and it's what makes understanding liberal theory today more important than ever.